Ladies and gentlemen, close your eyes for a moment, not in sleep, but in awakening. For the world you see when your eyes are closed is the one that shapes the world when your eyes are open. Let me ask you, what if you could manifest anything you desire in just 4 minutes? Not by chance, not by hard labor, but by an inner knowing, an inner movement, a shift in awareness, so subtle, yet so powerful, it bends reality around it. Everything begins in imagination. This is not poetic metaphor. This is the foundation of reality. Nothing exists in your world that was not first imagined. Your home, your career, even the way people treat you, all are reflections of the images you hold within. To manifest, you must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What does that mean? It means you feel the experience of your desire as if it were already yours. You must feel the joy of the healed body, the relief of the financial breakthrough, the warmth of the loving relationship, as though it is happening now. You must live from the end, not toward it, not in hope, but in the confidence that it is already so. Speak as the person who has already received. Think, walk, breathe like it is done. Now here's the mystery. Time is not your master. What appears to take days, months, or years is only the time it takes your mind to accept your new reality. The moment you fully accept it, reality rearranges itself. Do not be fooled by appearances. Your senses will try to betray you with facts. But facts are just frozen imagination. Change the image and the fact will follow. And here's your practice. 4 minutes a day. Just 4 minutes. Retreat into imagination. Close your eyes, breathe, and enter the scene. Feel it. Engage every sense. Smell the flowers in your dream garden. Hear the applause at your success. Feel the touch of your lover's hand. Do this without distraction, as if it were the most sacred ritual, because it is. Those 4 minutes will become the seed of a new world. You are not a beggar hoping for favor. You are the operant power. Manifestation is not about getting, it's about being. Be now who you wish to be. Live now in the world you choose to see. And watch as reality yields. Everything begins in imagination. Before anything appears in the outer world, it must first be conceived within. The clothes you wear, the chair you sit on, the words you speak, all of them were once invisible, formless ideas that took shape only after being imagined. Imagination is not a passive faculty. It is creative, causative, divine. It is not daydreaming or fantasy in the trivial sense. It is the very act of creation itself. When a sculptor sees a block of marble, he sees not stone, but the form buried within. So it is with imagination. It sees beyond the surface into what could be and claims it as already true. The world you call real is simply the solidified residue of past imaginings. You have been creating all along, whether you knew it or not. Every assumption, every inner dialogue, every vivid picture you hold inside, these are blueprints for the reality that follows. The great error is to believe imagination is fiction, while the physical world is fact. The truth is, the world bends to imagination, not the other way around. The invisible creates the visible. Your consciousness of being, your sense of I am, is the root, and imagination is the means by which that beingness expresses and expands. It precedes effort, action, and even thought. It is not limited by the 5 senses, nor bound by the rules of the visible world. It is limitless in scope, immediate in power. Every invention, every movement of art, every miracle began as a picture in the mind of one who dared to see with the inner eye. They trusted what they saw within more than what others saw without. The visionary does not wait for proof. He knows the act of imagining is itself the proof, because imagination is the only source of creation. The moment you accept that what you imagine with feeling becomes the seed of reality, you begin to reclaim your power, not to change the world, but to change your perception of it. For once your perception shifts, the world has no choice but to follow. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is the great secret, the bridge between what is desired and what becomes real. Desire alone is not enough. It is not the asking that manifests, but the knowing. And this knowing does not come through logic or proof. It comes through feeling. To assume the feeling means to inwardly occupy the state of your fulfilled desire, as though it were already your present reality. It means to move beyond wishing, beyond hoping, and to step into the mood of already having. It is not pretending. It is not fantasizing. It is an inward shift, a quiet conviction that what you have imagined is not coming, it is. Feeling is the key. The universe does not respond to words alone. It responds to vibration, to the emotional tone behind the thought. When you feel wealthy, loved, healed, free, even in the absence of outer proof, you begin to signal a new frequency, one that draws to you the conditions that match it. Your world mirrors your state of being, and being is determined by what you feel to be true. To assume the feeling is to enter the scene in imagination and linger there, not as an observer, but as a participant. You do not watch yourself having the experience. You become the version of yourself who already is. You touch the objects in your mind, hear the voices that would surround you, smell the air of that new reality. You breathe as that person. You walk as that person. You respond to life as that person would, and in doing so, you fuse the imagined with the real. This assumption must be so vivid, so emotionally satisfying, that when you open your eyes, the absence of the desire in the physical world feels irrelevant. You have already tasted its reality within. And because all creation flows from consciousness, what is accepted within will find a way to express itself without, through means you may not foresee, through people, opportunities, or sudden shifts in events. But all of it begins the moment you feel it as already true, live from the in. This is the discipline of faith, the practice of inner certainty before the evidence appears. It is to mentally dwell in the result, not in the process. Most people live toward the end. They see their desire as something distant, something to work for, something that might come if circumstances allow. But to live from the end is to reverse that entirely. It is to anchor yourself in the experience of already being, doing, or having what you seek. This way of being is not about waiting, it is about embodying. It is the conscious choice to think, feel, and act as the version of yourself who has already arrived. If the desire were fulfilled, how would you move through today? How would you speak? What choices would you make? What thoughts would no longer trouble you? To live from the end is to let those answers become your new pattern, not later, but now. Living from the end reshapes identity. You are no longer the person seeking change. You are the person changed. And from this identity flows a new way of seeing and responding to the world. It is not about convincing others or trying to manipulate external events. The shift happens within, and the outer world conforms. What you see as future is only a shadow cast by your present assumption. To live from the end, you must surrender the need for visible proof and place your trust in the unseen reality you have accepted. You make your home in that end scene, not as a visitor, but as a resident. The mind will tempt you to waver, to peek back and assess whether things are working. But that very doubt signals that you're still living toward the end, not from it. The moment you fully occupy the state of the wish fulfilled, you cease striving. You begin expressing. This approach is not passive. It is powerful. It is alignment with truth before fact, with cause before effect. When you live from the end, your thoughts, your mood, your behavior, and your assumptions begin to match the world you have chosen within. And as those inner movements become consistent, the outer world inevitably follows. Time is an illusion of the mind. It appears real because it is measured, segmented, and tracked. Yet it is only a construct, an agreement made for organizing experience. In truth, all that exists is now. The past is a memory, the future a projection. Both are ideas held in consciousness. What you call the future is not something ahead of you in a line. It is a state of consciousness, waiting to be occupied. And once occupied, it becomes your present. Imagination is not bound by the clock. In a moment, you can travel years ahead or revisit a memory from decades ago. You can see yourself in a future home, speaking a future truth, living a future life, all within seconds. And what you experience vividly within, you begin to feel as real. That inner movement collapses time. What seemed far becomes near. What seemed impossible becomes natural. The belief in linear time delays manifestation. It conditions the mind to wait, to expect change only as a result of action stretched across days and months. But creation does not unfold through the ticking of the clock. It unfolds through the acceptance of a state. When you assume a state now, fully and without contradiction, you pull what was future into the present. You override time by entering the timeless. Every moment is a choice point. You are not moving through time. Time is moving through you. Each new assumption creates a shift in experience, and that shift determines what appears as your next moment. The outer world only reflects the inner arrangement of consciousness, not a fixed timeline. To awaken to this is to free yourself from the bondage of delay. You no longer say, "It will come," but instead, "It is here." Not because you see it with your eyes, but because you know it in your being. The illusion of time dissolves when you stop using it as an excuse for why you cannot yet have, be, or feel something. Everything you desire already exists as a possibility, outside of time, waiting only for your claim. The moment you stop treating time as a barrier and start treating it as irrelevant to creation, you begin to work with a higher law. You understand that the distance between desire and fulfillment is not days or months. It is only the space between disbelief and conviction. Ignore the senses. The physical senses are not creators of truth. They are reporters of what has already been accepted within. They deliver to you the residue of past assumptions, a delayed echo of your inner world. Sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell are loyal messengers, but they do not originate reality. They only reflect what consciousness has already formed. If you take them as final authority, you become a servant to the visible, and creation ceases. But if you look beyond them, if you hold fast to what is unseen, you step into your creative power. To ignore the senses does not mean to deny them. It means not to be ruled by them. When the bank account shows lack, the senses whisper limitation. When the relationship is strained, the senses insist on conflict. When the body aches, the senses declare illness. But if you accept these as facts, you remain trapped in repetition. You reinforce what already is, instead of inviting what could be. Creation requires that you turn away from what appears and turn inward to what is imagined. You persist in a reality that is not yet visible, and you do so with confidence, not hope. This is the discipline: to feel warmth in the cold, to feel abundance in the empty room, to feel love in the silence. It is the unwavering ability to occupy the state desired, even while the senses scream its opposite. The senses are bound to the past. They cannot see what you are becoming. They cannot grasp the unseen cause that is setting events in motion. If you wait for confirmation from the outer world before believing, you are always one step behind your own power. But if you ignore the evidence and live by the inner conviction, the outer world bends. It must. Reality is not fixed. It is fluid, obedient to the state you inhabit. This is not delusion. This is creation in its purest form. You are not pretending that things are different. You are proclaiming that the inner world is real and therefore must be expressed. The senses will catch up. The echo will change when the original sound changes. So you change the origin, your assumption, your feeling, your focus, and let the echo take care of itself. To ignore the senses is not to live blindly. It is to live faithfully. It is to know that what is true within, held with conviction, must take shape without. And in that knowing, the senses lose their authority and begin to serve the world you have chosen to see. Make it a ritual, 4 minutes a day, not hours, not an all-consuming practice, just 4 deliberate minutes, sacred and undisturbed, where the outer world is dismissed and the inner world takes command. In this brief span of time, you are not reacting to life, you are creating it. You are stepping out of the familiar rhythm of your day and into the timeless space where all things begin. This is not a habit of the mind, it is a discipline of the soul. These 4 minutes, the phone is silent, the door is closed, and the senses are quieted. You are alone, but not empty. You are with the one thing that matters, your imagination. You do not use this time to ask or plead. You use it to be. You select one scene, one clear image of your desire fulfilled, and you enter it with every faculty engaged. You see through your own eyes, not as a spectator, but as the version of yourself who already has what you seek. This is not about repetition. It is about immersion. One moment of deep, sincere immersion into the state of the wish fulfilled is more powerful than hours of distracted hoping. In these 4 minutes, you feel the tones of reality as if they have already changed. You hear the congratulations, feel the texture of success, taste the freedom, breathe the relief. It is not imagination as escape, it is imagination as dominion. The consistency is what transforms. Day after day, you impress this new state upon your subconscious. You remind yourself, not with force, but with feeling, of who you truly are. You carry that feeling forward, letting it shape how you walk, how you speak, how you choose. The 4 minutes are not isolated. They ripple out into the rest of your day, quietly reorienting your world around your inner truth. Even when nothing appears to change on the surface, the roots are growing. That quiet repetition, that daily return to the end you have chosen, is what causes the outer world to yield. Creation responds to persistence, not intensity. These minutes become a portal, simple in appearance, yet profound in effect. You are not hoping for change, you are becoming the change. And as you do, 4 minutes becomes enough to shift a lifetime. So now you know. To manifest anything, you do not need permission. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not even need time. You need only the courage to turn within. Everything begins in imagination. You are the author, the sculptor, the painter of your own world. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not someday, but now. Live from the end as though it were already written. Understand that time is not your master. It is your mirror. Ignore the senses when they contradict your vision. They are but delayed echoes of past thoughts. And make it a ritual. Just 4 minutes a day. 4 minutes of deep, unwavering alignment with your desire. That is all it takes. This is not philosophy. This is law. The world will rise to meet the version of you that dares to believe before it sees. Thank you.